And Tim is going to talk about creating your communication connection. Tim, creating your communication connection.
About now, you might be wondering, you know, Tim, why really Toastmasters? Why do I need to come to Toastmasters to create this communication connection? Why do I need to develop and build my communication skills? I mean, it sounded like a good idea when I was at home, but now that I'm here, I'm thinking it over. Why do I really need to do this? I mean, my communication's basically okay. Sometimes, you know, pretty much a few bumps in the road here and there. It's basically okay. And besides, all I really need to do is off-the-cuff talk every now and then. The boss asks something, you get in a situation, somebody asks you a difficult question, you got to answer like that. Or a meeting comes up, you got to do a meeting. But other than that, you know, my communication's fine. I really need this Toastmaster communication thing anyway. And I get it. I really do, because I used to think the same thing. I used to think the same thing. I thought, my communication's okay. I know how to talk. I can say things. I can put words together. My communication is fine. I've heard a few bumps in the road here and there, but you know, basically, it's all right. Until one day, I realized my communication wasn't okay. And it almost cost me my job. Now, I'm a professional secretary, as I mentioned to Steve. Professional secretary, I've been doing that for years. My night job is professional speech coach. My day job is professional secretary. Way back when I first began, there was a guy at my desk, Ted. He was a tall guy, brown hair. John's heard about Ted many, many times. But anyway, tall guy, brown hair, real kind of director type. Real kind of guy I like to take charge, just do what I say and just shut up and just do it. You know, something like that, real director type, bottom line. You know, like that. If you don't, you're fortunate, but that's what I had to deal with. So that was Ted. Now, the thing about Ted was he was highly placed in the company, and he went to New York City every week. Every week he'd go off to New York City, fly off, and he'd always book his travel at the last moment. He'd always book his hotels at the last moment. And whatever hotel he chose, it would always turn out to be the most popular hotel in New York City. You ever been to New York City? You've been there? Okay, back me up in this. It's big, right?
Yeah.
It's big. If you haven't been to New York City, it's just wall-to-wall people. It's big. If you don't book the popular hotels for weeks, months, maybe years in advance, you're not getting in. So I have to call up the travel department and say, travel, I want to stay in X hotel. I say, sir, X hotel's booked up for weeks. Okay, travel, what else you got? And Ted wouldn't get his hotel that week. Or the next week, or the week that followed, or the week after that, and Ted was not getting his hotel. They couldn't book him. They just weren't available. I knew it was a problem. I knew it was an issue, and I'm thinking, hey, I can communicate, I can figure this out. So I started thinking what I was going to say. I thought, well, maybe I could say this, maybe say that. I got all sorts of great ideas in my head what I would say when I finally had to talk to Ted about this. And then one day, Ted came out to my desk and said, Tim, come into my office. Thought, must be about the hotels. So I went into Ted's office, sat down in the chair in front of his desk, went down, and Ted went around to the big desk, sat down in his big chair and said, Tim, why aren't you booking my hotels? And my thoughts just flew right out of my head. You ever have that happen? You get in a high pressure situation, suddenly your thoughts just leave. Ever had that happen? Yeah? You know what I'm talking about? They just go. Something, I gotta say something, right? So I think, well, maybe I should just say, Ted, you should book your hotels further in advance. I can't say that, it's crazy. Maybe I should say, Ted, stay in less popular hotels. Nah, I can't say that. And maybe I should say, Ted, don't ever go to New York City. I think that's crazy talk. So about this point, I suddenly realized that I'm not actually saying anything. I'm just kind of going, and I look up, and Ted did not look amused. So finally I just said, Ted, I'll book your hotels when they're available. And I jump up and just run, almost run right out of the office. And as I'm sitting at my desk, I think, well, maybe Ted got the point. Maybe he got it. Maybe he realizes now that, he needs to book the hotels further in advance. Next week comes, last minute hotel. And this turns out to be the most popular hotel in New York City, definitely, called Travel. Travel, want to stay in X Hotels is Sir. X Hotel is booked up for months. Okay, Travel, what else do you got? Once again, Ted wouldn't get his hotels. And week after week after week went by. Then one day the phone rang. We've got a headset phone, so just pick up the headset, put it on. It was Julianne. Julianne is the supervisor in charge of all the secretaries in the division that I work with. Tim, it's Julianne. Why aren't you booking Ted's hotels? I would book him to Edson hotels, but it's just that he books at the last moment, and he doesn't explain anything, and he just has all these problems, and I can't possibly book him. I just can't do it. Tim, have you talked to Ted about the problem? Well, we did have a discussion about the issue. Ted indicated he was a little concerned. There was a few issues, problems there to figure out, but figured out we'd work it out, we'd figure out what the problem was, and we were negotiating pretty much the best approach to take. Tim, you have a serious communication problem. I strongly suggest you go to Toastmasters. The club's starting up, and Tim, we will talk about this later. That was my introduction to Toastmasters International. You know how you learn more when you're strongly motivated? I was strongly motivated. My job was on the line. So I started asking around what I should do, and the different roles and speeches, started taking those on, and some of the things you've seen today, started doing that stuff. And after a while, I started to get better. And they helped me understand what an off-the-cuff speech was, and more importantly, what a meeting was, how to do a meeting effectively. And I got better. And finally, I went back to Ted, and I had that conversation I should have had a long time ago. Now today I work at Deloitte, as mentioned Steve. Been professional secretary for years now, but every now and then I get a kudos, good job, congratulations, that sort of thing. And I think back to Toastmasters, where it all started, when I created that important communication connection. It really helped me do my job. Today I'm a professional speech coach, so I realized not everybody has that benefit. Not everybody really gets that. So help anybody get from wherever they are to wherever they want to be. If you want, you can sign up on for free speaking tips sent to you every day in the email, or just go on to Public Speaking Library. Google it, or publicspeakinglibrary.info. You can find it on there. And thinking back at this entire experience, it suddenly made me realize something. By the time you realize you've got a business communication problem, it's usually too late. By the time you realize you've got a business communication problem, it's usually too late. I was lucky to keep my job. Many people aren't they? So that's why it's so important. Why Toastmasters is so important. Why developing and building your communication skills is so important. So whatever you do, however you do it, make sure you make your communication connection as soon as you can.
Thank you, Ted.